It's a well-informed hunch. It's a well-informed hunch, I said. I do actually, Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you. So I just want it to be clear. Right before Senator Allen takes the floor again and we hear his grandstanding, we hear how we're such ineffective senators. What you just heard from the minority side, disregarding party yet again, is a well-informed, concise, largely civil argument as to why things were legal. The response of the majority later, while we were speaking, was to quickly type in into Google, and yeah, I understand that you're at work, so don't worry about this. But his only response was to come in a couple seconds, interrupt with falsities, and then send a screenshot of a Google web page of Senate rules that just further proof the point of Senator Cranfield. That is the leadership of the majority leader. Pomp and circumstance without the substance. That's just the bottom line. He'll post a picture of him shaking hands with people and say that he's accomplished much, which he's passed a lot of legislation. But then he'll come in here and do procedural motions that aren't with Senate rules, that don't have no precedent, and are focused on advancing, growing his own political power in this community. Senators, we must stop this. We must do better. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor. In a quorum. That's so ridiculous. Mr. President, point of order. Thank you, Mr. President. Is it not true that the Senate last night was in a quorum? Thank you. Therefore, is it not true that the Senate, when doing business, I'm in now. I'm in a point of order right now. I'm asking a point of order. I'm in a point of order. I'm in a point of order right now. Is it not true that the Senate does business with senators who are present when in a quorum? The Senate can do business with senators who are present in a quorum. It is a majority of senators who are present to pass a piece of legislation, to pass a nomination, to pass a confirmation, to pass a rule change. A majority of senators who are present in the Senate at a quorum. Is that not true? Thank you, Mr. President. I yield back. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. There was. There was. Thank you. Just to clarify what a point of order, a business quorum is, it's two-thirds of present senators. That is correct, Mr. President. Two-thirds of present senators have to vote in favor of the motion for a business quorum. Correct. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor. I think we've pretty much destroyed every argument that Senator Kenneth Hill has brought forth. Mr. President, point of order. It's also reasonable, Mr. President, it's also reasonable to presume that, therefore, the nomination passed with a bipartisan, unanimous majority vote. Th- Thank you, Mr. President. Point of order. I believe the time is now Senator Allen's again, correct? Okay, Senator Allen, you can take the floor again if you wish. Who needs Walmart? Senator Bennett, if I may ask you a couple questions. So that's approved, Mr. President. Lucas, just say it's approved. Just say I'm just asking to ask Senator Bennett some questions. Thank you. So just I I'm very happy to see that you think it's legal now. Um, I'm just a little confused why you thought it wasn't in the first place. Because just to follow up on that, because there was no argument presented by Senator Allen until just now, uh, and the only reason that some people include, I feel like the only reason I can see that some people, including yourself, agreed with Senator Allen was because you didn't agree with the business that happened. And it's okay. I'm glad we've resolved that now and that you agree that that's not how it works. But I'm sort of trying to understand the justification for agreeing with it in the first place. Well, if if I may, if I may, a lot of the Senate rules in real life, in senates across the world, it's just how parliaments work. Um, even in parliaments, legit parliaments, just how parliamentary procedure works. A lot of it is just off of precedent, and the precedent that we have to go off of here is the precedent of the United States Senate, because that's the body that we're role playing here. So I'm not going off of any specific rules. It's going off of a precedent that could be changed by like rules are there to axe precedents essentially. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like you could axe a precedent, but until that is the case, the precedent is legal. Because other no, but otherwise though, do you understand like what happens otherwise? We have to spend 2 weeks plus writing a comprehensive parliamentary procedure rule book when and in real life they would have to spend years writing all these rules into the yearbook when we could into the into the yearbook into the rule book when we could just as easily run off of the rule of precedent. It's just so we could just as easily rule off the rule of precedent, which is how governments have done it for centuries, and it's how governments do it most efficiently and effectively. I just would hope you would agree. Right, but I'm saying what should be set in but what should be set in stone is precedents that we don't agree with. There's too many precedents of rules and motions that can happen for us to put in a rule book without those precedents. Like you would be axing too many precedents that work. Like the eight of us here can't come up with the 1,000 precedents that exist for motions and procedures of the Senate or the millions plus examples of those motions being used for the Senate rulebook to be comprehensive enough for the Senate to run efficiently. If what I'm saying and pleading for you to do, if you want to do and make something set in stone, is set in stone the rules of the Senate that we cannot do. That's something much easier. There's much less things that we can't do, and it's much easier for us to debate on the things that the Senate shouldn't do than for us to try to come up with a rule book and strictly come up with the things that we can't do. We're employing parliamentary procedure here. Parliamentary procedure is the interpretations of the members who are there currently, and that shouldn't be set in stone. What should be set in stone is what is illegal for members to do under the rule book. I mean, like that's how rule books work. But I don't understand the point of that. Like, it's not like just because but it's not just because it's real but it's not just because it's real life, it's because it's parliamentary procedure. It's not like it's not I'm not talking about just the United States Senate. I'm talking about the United States Senate runs on parliamentary procedure, which is just the procedure of governments across the world. Like I don't understand why you don't like okay, so you get that. So but there was a lawsuit because a senator didn't understand parliamentary procedure. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. There was like that's not the fault of there not being a Senate rulebook, and a Senate rulebook wouldn't change Kenneth putting up lawsuits when he's not he's watch him do it again. I guarantee you, in weeks times, it won't change the fact that Kenneth will do something similar when he disagrees with something. I just feel the Senate rulebook is going to impose rules on the Senate that restrict our ability to do efficient and effective business. If you like, I agree that we should have a rule book that puts in stone what the Senate cannot do, but to make rules to try and set in stone procedures that are based off of precedent and up to the interpretation of the chair and up to the interpretation of the members present is not effective to the United States Senate. There's I could make I can make a legal argument. I would agree with you if this was the United States House. There's enough members there, and there's enough. The parliamentary procedure of the House is much different than the Senate. I would agree with you, and members of the House have much less power, individual power. It's much less of a caucus branch. I would agree if we were in the House that we should do something similar to that. But we're in the United States Senate. Second. Mr. Mr. President, I motion to roll call. Oh, okay, thank you. Nay. Oh God. Mr. President, Mr. President. No, but it's not just that. Sorry, continue. No, 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 continue. No, but that itself is up to the interpretation of the chair. Uh, this is why it has to be up to the interpretation of the chair and left up to the interpretations of the members of the Senate. We have rules to put in place a basic structure and like totally overt things that we know that we shouldn't be doing. That should be in the rule book. That's why there's a Senate rule book. But most of that should be up to the interpretation of the chair. And if you're chair and you want to impose, and if Vice President Lucas Underwood sorry, I just was reading his name out. Underwood has his total uh, authority to decide whether or not he wants times for the Senate. That thing shouldn't be in the rule book. It's the same principle. It's about the principle of not having stuff established in the rule book that would make the Senate less efficient and less effective. If you're a chair of a Senate session, you can very well do 5-second time intervals for every senator, and we would have to listen to that. I could motion to object to that, and we could overrule the motion of the chair, and that's how business of the Senate works. But it's up to the interpretation of members who are there, and the chair. It's a committee. We are the interpreters. The rules are us and the procedures that we do. That that is essentially how parliamentary procedure works. And to try and set in stone such a fluid procedure would be totally opposite to what it is trying to do as a legislative body. And I'm not I hope you don't think I'm attacking you here. I'm just trying to help come to a mutual understanding about how the Senate can run more efficiently. Well, I mean, I'm just my position. I'm saying my position is we literally don't. Uh, Well, okay. Can we get a clerk to read it out? Let's get a clerk to read it out loud right now. Well, I'm serious. Do it, do it, do it, because then we can debate it more informed. Can you send it to the chat though, as before you do it? Oh, it's in pinned in the Senate chat. Mm, oops, I left. Okay. All right. Read it whenever you're ready. Okay. I I can already see a couple of things I can change with this. What my ideal Senate rulebook would look like. I mean, largely we have a good. I'd say we have a good base here. I would agree that it's vague, but the Senate rulebook for this community, in my opinion, should stay vague. And again, the specificity of any particular procedure should be up to the interpretation of a member of the Senate. Um, like in terms of there's some language here that I could change, and I could write a draft and send it to you, and we could sort of go over it and talk about specifics. But really, we shouldn't be like in terms of suspensions of the rules, which I know is something you wanted to go after in terms of not go after, but something you wanted to put in the thing. Uh, Something like that. It shouldn't be in the rule book. It just having that in the rule book allows. I hope Kenneth isn't listening now, but it allows people like Kenneth to use to use their political power using the legalese of such language. When it's up to the interpretations of the members of the Senate, it's a more open and democratic process, and we are able to vote on procedures. You know, if people didn't like what I did last night, the Democratic caucus specifically, Senator Sethi and Senator Williams could have made a motion and we would have voted on said motion. The motion would have been tied, and then the president of the Senate would have had to decide on that motion. That would have been totally legal as well. Um, that's how the Senate should work. You know, the Senate's working, like the rules of the Senate are working completely efficiently here. What I'm trying to, like, my ideal is we really don't change the rule book, but we enforce making sure that certain senators don't use the rules to their own political advantage, and that leadership stands in opposition to senators clearly doing such a thing. That's how we make the Senate more efficient. In my, not altering it. I mean, if you feel that if you feel that there's a specific thing that should be altered, I think by all means enter it to the into the rule book. Well, I personally I think the Senate floor is running quite well. It's senators who are trying to use the Senate floor to their own advantage, which is a problem of governments across the world. That's the issue, and that can be stomped out by a chairman who enforce a chairman can enforce the rules and stop such a thing from happening. Uh, if you were chair, you could do such a thing, and whatever language you want to put into the rule book could be done through leadership of the chair. It doesn't need to be language; it's just leadership of the chair. And the language isn't going to push the chair to do it any more than they would already have. It's about whoever is sitting in the chair at the time. And I know that you could do something like that. Well, can you just point out what specific instance you're discussing? Like what's the specific instance you're talking about? Right, but you need to tell me which senator you're talking about, though. Well, Senator House is a perfect example of senators not understanding the parliamentary procedure of the Senate, and as a result, District 4 pushed him to resign. He did, and now we have a senator who understands the rules. The Senate just is running. Yeah, true, true. But either way, we now have a senator and senators across the board. Senator Sethi, Senator Williams, Senator Cranfield. Why am I missing his name? I almost called Senator Nixon, who understand the rules of the procedure. And like I said last night, it ran very efficiently. We don't have to retroactively put in place rules for senators who resigned as a result of being terrible senators. That's why we have the resignation rules, and that's why senators here could vote to, if you weren't doing your job or if I weren't doing my job, they could vote to remove me as a United States senator. That's why we have those rules, and that's why those rules should be employed. But I go back to my basic point. Trying to enforce those basic rules retroactively is just not beneficial to the efficiency of the Senate. Let me just say, I would also love to hear some opposition to this if there was some sound, logical opposition to it. I'd love to debate it as well. I did point out last night that Google Docs has a tool option where you can change the spelling to be correct spelling. There was a couple of issues with the no, it's not just you. It was also the housing legislation. I agree. Yeah, so we're going totally off of precedent now. So maybe you should motion to introduce this. Based, I think. God. I No, I mean this is just I mean we're like teenagers in a Discord call pretending to be senators. Like that's it's gonna happen. Like we're not gonna force total professionalism. Well, Kenneth would only well, Kenneth would only talk about that if yes, Mr. Yeah. Ooh, ooh. I think he's also moved on from that. Here, here. Actually, I do. If someone could stall for a little bit, I do have some business that I would like to introduce in a minute. let me just no. Keep going, baby. Keep going. Mr. President. Oh wait, no. Never mind. I think we should. Good. Cause but okay, Mr. President, can I say something to the Senate? Okay. So my recommendation for senators who are here, and someone should let Senator Nixon know, and uh, who else isn't here? So correct. Thank you. Who is it? I'm not gonna. Who is that? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Williams. So just my recommendation to senators for this upcoming session tonight, for those who weren't there in the session last night. Um, uh, this is going to be a legislative session. Bring your legislation to the session. Be ready to debate it. Let's try to avoid uh, getting off track and talking about the rules in this session. We have a lot of legislation on the docket, and I think what we're tr- what we're trying to do here is be productive with the legislation that we're trying to pass. So if you have legislation, be ready to bring it to the floor tonight, and then yeah, that's my recommendation. Charlie, you should send that to the chat. It should. Mr. President, I do object to this motion. I Can I just explain my objection, Mr. President? Thank you. So I don't mean to object to the rule book, or trying to get this, not done. But I did. I am 5 minutes away from coming up with an updated draft, so we don't just pass this same rule book, which I do agree is quite vague. I didn't change anything. We can read it again, but I'm just literally 5 minutes away from just an updated rule book that I think it will serve us efficiently enough, and then senators therefore can from there can. Well, there's no real changes. I'm just making sure that the language is clear, and that spelling errors. I'm making sure that the rule book that's there. Well, I mean, I do have an amended rule book that I'm going to be proposing. I mean, you can propose this, but I'm going to propose another rule book in about 7 minutes. I just want. Oh, hold on. I still have the floor. I just want to let you know that I'm doing that because I'm not. I just like we can debate it. I'm not doing that because of you. I'm just doing that because I think that it should be done. Not an agenda is what I think. I just wanted to clarify that that was a mishap. I yield the floor, Mr. President. Is that just something you do? Mr. President, Mr. President, point of order. Is it not true that if the senator wants to raise an argument against the confirmation, then he can file an injunction and argue that confirmation before the court? And then I ask a follow-up. Thank you. I just knew what you were gonna say, so I just let you. Then my follow-up is it not true that the Senate, in a full Senate vote, given what we've seen over the past couple of days and the behavior over the past couple of weeks, if it had adequate support, could remove the Senate Majority Leader from his position? Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor. I, I'm sure you couldn't. What? Mr. President, point of order. Me. Does the senator understand that the plural of child is children and not childs? Just Too- It's just too funny. It's the Mr. President, very sad day. Very sad day. I'm not going to address most of what I just heard, and I'll specifically address that last point. I don't know if you weren't here for the 15-minute discussion that Senator Bennett and I had on parliamentary procedure and how these things work, but nothing of what happened last night needs to be clarified. Absolutely nothing. Uh, in the rulebook I'll be presenting, it sets in stone what a quorum is, just so you can't uh, leave that up to interpretation again. It sets in stone that the Senate body has the ultimate say over what the Senate does. And that foundation is what will allow us to be able to work in an efficient and effective manner. That foundation is what will allow members of the Senate to act against members who try to use the rules for their own personal gain or personal interest. It doesn't matter who it is. If I were to do something, the Senate could act against me. If you were to do something, the Senate could act against you. That's how it works. That's how it should work. And by all means, motion to reverse the business of last night. Could have done that hours ago, but you didn't. Could have used the motion. If I was in your position, you could have used the motions of the Senate to try and overturn the business that we did last night. Bryant hasn't been sworn in yet. If you did the legal, informed thing, that's what you would have done. Instead, you played political games. Instead, you called us inefficient and effective. The only thing that's inefficient and effective here is the leadership coming from the other side. The only thing. And the members of the United States Senate. And as you said, the people who are listening to this live stream, if they are, understand that, they see that, and going forward, they will continue to see that. Like I said before, hopefully we can move forward in the next few sessions and change our attitudes here, change how we run how we employ parliamentary procedure in this body. Yeah, you did. That's what I pointed out. You said you called me incompetent. Yeah, that's what I pointed out. You're just proving my point. You're just proving my point, and you will continue to do so over and over and over again. I hope the members of your caucus see it. That's all I have to say. Mr. President, let me just commend you again for running a well-informed session despite members trying to take that away from you uh, by making it a little less out of order. Thank you for running an informed session. And later tonight at 9:15, when Senator Allen is more active, hopefully we can get into it in terms of the legislation that we have to propose. But yeah, uh, the point of this is it's over. Um, that's really funny, actually. That is really funny. We'll fix that tonight. But I yield to Senator Granville. I think it, I mean sound never existed on the CBS stream. It does. It should now. Someone let me know. Oh, really? Really? It is working now? Huh. I wonder what happened with that. I'll have to rewatch it. Tonight, well, I did it while we were in session, so it was really like spur of the moment. Tonight, it'll be full gear, full gear. But yeah. Therefore, go ahead. But now, some people were like popping in and out. Okay. Ditto.
As we speak, just to pledge cooperation, pledge deliberation, and pledge efficient and effective conversation, because that is what matters the most. That's what's going to help this body the most, and that's what's going to advance and expand our credibility as a chamber in this community. We have a lot of good minds here, a lot of bright minds and bright individuals. We just have to utilize our ability to talk and disagree when necessary, and pass common sense legislation that works for the American people. With that being said, I'm thankful that we had a good deliberation today on the rules of the Senate. I'm thankful that we made significant progress in understanding what that means for us as individual contributors to the chamber, and I'm eager to continue on. I'm hoping we can put yesterday behind us as we have presented our arguments thoroughly. I'm hoping we can continue on and look forward to the remaining weeks of this session as we continue to propose, draft, and hopefully pass legislation that is purposeful. And with that being said, Mr. President, thank you very much for your leadership. I know whenever I'm having fun, whenever we're all having fun, sometimes we neglect that. But nonetheless, I'm appreciative of your leadership, and I'm appreciative of the job that you have done so far as Vice President of the United States. It is a well-earned title. And what I said to you in my letter, I mean today, I mean tomorrow, and I will mean it every day for the remainder of your tenure as Vice President. And with that, just thank you for the deliberations, and I motion for the adjournment of the Senate as standing until 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time.
Second.
Is there
Mr.
an
President,
objection? The gentleman from Washington.
may I just say something before we move to go forward with this motion?
Mhm.
I have some things to do today, and I will request one of my dear senators, if it's all right with them, to vote on behalf of me. If that's all right with
for
you.
sure. You can PM me and I can make sure that you will have
All right.
on legislation.
All right. Well, is there an agenda that it's set forth for tonight?
There won't be, but when a senator introduces when a senator introduces legislation, we can PM you to that we can let you know that legislation is being debated, and then you can respond back, supporter.
Okay. Okay. This brings up something. Maybe from now on, after this session, we could probably have an agenda, but we should also start with putting things through and actually having hearings for every bill in each committee. That'd be a really nice start, in my opinion, for a more effective Senate. But anyways, I was just asking on behalf of, maybe we should change that from there. And I was just asking if I could have proxy vote. Anyways, I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Hold on, we're going to get to the motion. We would do a voice vote because I don't got time for a roll call vote.
Mr. President.
What is the point of order presented by the
Just real
gentlewoman
quickly,
from New
I'm not
Hampshire?
going to start a debate. But real quickly, I think limiting the time bills are in committee is actually the way the Senate becomes more efficient and effective. Like you said in the general chat, the House doesn't do voice chats. Even if committees were to do voice chats, it's less efficient, it's less effective than full Senate committee chats. I think just this last point that I'll make is that the way we can make things a little bit more efficient and effective is having bills as quickly as possible coming before all 8 members of the Senate.
I agree.
With that, Mr. President, motion without objection to close the Senate until 9:15 Eastern Time.
Without objection, the motion is ordered, and we will reconvene at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight.
Thank you, Mr.
Goodbye.
Go, go.
I'm not saying that, and no.
Gobble, gobble.
You're going to
We're
get
gonna
the
pull
real
what
thing.
they did last night, and we're gonna remove you as presiding officer and put Trey in there as instead.
Oh,
Sorry,
the
say
disrespect.
that again. Say that again.
Just for the gobble
I
gobble.
don't remember that. I don't remember that. Nah, don't remember that
True,
happening.
Don't remember. Okay.
What are you